republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good morning. Welcome, commissioners, staff, audience. We have a very full agenda today, so at the conclusion of this meeting or 10 o'clock, whatever's later, we will start our budget committee workshop. So roll call, Commissioner Brian Fawcett, thank you. Were you able to get online, Brian? He was going to try, but not sure he can make it. He got it.
There.
Morning, Brian.
Yep, I'm here. I'm online.
Excellent. Welcome. So Commissioner Fawcett present online and Commissioner Buell, Iverson, Ward, and Kaiser present. Is there any additions to the agenda? Hearing none. Consent agenda, commissioners.
Move to adopt consent agenda items A, B, and C.
Second.
Been moved by Commissioner Iverson, seconded by Commissioner Ward to adopt agenda items A, B, and C. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. We have a motion on item D.
Move to adopt consent agenda item D.
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Buell, seconded by Commissioner Ward to adopt item D. Any abstentions,
I will abstain for voting.
as will I, because I didn't look to see if I had a check or not, but that's going to builder supply I have a financial interest in. So all in favor of item D
Aye.
Aye.
and two abstentions, motion carries. Thank you, guys. Comments from visitors. Is there anyone signed up that would like to speak?
No one signed up.
Anyone online raising their hand to speak this morning? Let me make sure I don't miss them. Doesn't look like it. Okay, thank you. Old business, the dredging project update. Miriam.
Well, the update is that there's not much to update other than the sediment analysis was sent back to the PSET, the analysis evaluation team. And once they make their decision on the makeup characteristics of the sediment, we'll know then if we can do in water, upland, or have them haul off site. So that's a big decision we're waiting for.
And we'll note that that's just on the agenda because we've left it permanently there as a placeholder.
Yep.
Doesn't mean nothing's happening. Arena improvement, same.
Similar on that, although Miriam had told me yesterday that we're getting close to 90% design. And at some point, we'll have to figure out what we're going to expend in this current budget year versus the next year based on priorities and things. And we're still a ways from construction, but if we're going to construct, we want to be ready. So it'll be nice to have the design work all done.
That may come up in the budget meeting today too. Airport use permit update.
No update.
Okay. That's fine, but I'd like to leave it on there. Court office extension update.
Good morning. Good morning. I added myself the fun challenge because today was going too well and it was too sunny and thought that I decided to put my talking point in like 5-point font. So, forgive me. Okay, so the city of Columbia City received our application for the minor modification. The addition is 2,500 extra square feet. That's what it's estimated at. Because it's just a minor modification, it just needs to be reviewed and approved by the planning director at the city. So they sent us a letter on Monday, letting us know that the application was complete and that we would be getting a decision from the planning director by Friday. The only condition for approval that they called out was that the city manager's office would like an updated non-remonstrance for a waiver of remonstrance for street improvements, which is something that we had in place when we did this addition as well. It's essentially saying that if in the next 20 years, they decide to install sidewalks along our property line, because at this point, we aren't having to install those improvements.
When you say non-remonstrance, are you talking about this street going this way or are they talking about a street going.
this way.
Yeah,
So you're talking east and west,
Yeah.
not north and south.
right, the sidewalk.
Is that broken out in the non-remonstrance agreement?
I have it and I just started working with Bob on it.
Yes, so they're asking to extend the period of time that we've already agreed to. In other words,
I can't see.
I guess it's just common practice, you know. Remonstrance really means objection.
Yeah, you won't
Waiving any objections if they come in and build sidewalks or whatever.
Or make us build sidewalks.
Well, I was gonna say typically the alternative would be make you build a sidewalk to Newell now.
Yeah.
Yes. Bad plan.
I just wanted to be clear that we're not talking about a future road that they want to put right through the middle of our property and it takes away any rights we have to talk to them about. But that's not the case.
But we could find out the why they want to extend it. I think it's just practice.
I think it's.
When you apply, then they automatically say, okay, 15 years.
I have no objections to it this way, but if they're gonna go through the middle of our property for something, I think we should know about it. And I don't know if I'd even object to that, but I think we should, as a board.
It's
know that.
specifically for sidewalks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't have any issues at all.
Excellent. Any more questions for me?
Thanks.
I think so. Yeah, they're all business. Okay, new business, resolution 2023-11. Elizabeth, good morning.
Good sunny morning.
It is.
Yay.
Yay, that's right. I'm presenting a resolution to appoint Andrew Bradley to the Scappoose Bay Marine Park Advisory Committee. Mr. Bradley is a lifelong resident in the county and is a recreational user of our marina. His primary occupation is as captain for Shaver Transportation. He has an education in fish and wildlife science with a minor in communications. Mr. Bradley has also volunteered locally, including Scappoose Booster Spring Salmon Derby and Columbia River Spring Salmon Advisory Committee. Andrew submitted his application and introduced himself to the Marina Advisory Committee. The committee voted to approve his application, and we would ask that the commission appoint Andrew Bradley to the Scappoose Bay Marine Advisory Committee.
Discussion? Seems like a
Done your homework?
we have a motion by Chip. We have a second. Moved by Commissioner Bugle, second by Commissioner Iverson. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Carries unanimously. Thank you, Elizabeth. Resolution 2023-12, Century West scope of work at the airport.
Great. And 12, resolution 12 and 13 are somewhat related, so it might feel a little bit repetitive, but
Get them both.
okay. So resolution 2023-12 is a resolution requesting approval of Century West scope of work for runway rehabilitation at the Scappoose Airport. James Kirby, the representative from Century West, our airport engineer of record, is on the line if you have really specific questions about the scope of work, but essentially, the airport master plan identified that runway 1533 pavement needed rehabilitation. It was a key maintenance project that was identified for the 23-24 budget cycle. And that came out of a 2021 commission study by the Oregon Department of Aviation that assessed our pavement and deemed that it would reach unacceptable levels by 2026. So this is us starting the process of the design, engineering, and then eventually the actual maintenance. So the scope of work that Century West submitted was in your packet. It is for environmental and design services to take the project up to the final design phase. And it includes runway rehab options, lighting, airport indicators, and then also an endangered bird survey. So they're going to do all these as it's required by the FAA to continue to receive our grant funding for the airport. And just to be clear, in terms of the funding model, the Century West on behalf of the port will submit a grant request to the FAA for approval for 90% of the scope of work cost, which would be $134,877, which would leave the final 10% of the scope of work to the port to be responsible for $14,986. I just wanted to call out that there is a possibility that the as a part of the scope of work, the airport could be closed up to 3 days and 1 night for testing. That would include the coring sample of the pavement, topographic runway survey, geotechnical investigation, and then something called a falling weight deflectometer test. Which I've been told is basically you take something heavy and you drop it on the pavement and you see how hard it bounces back. So I'm gonna, after these resolutions are hopefully approved by you all, I'll work with Gina Cisco to develop a communication strategy and plan so that we can communicate any closures with our tenants and the users. And we'll also keep a very keen eye on minimizing the amount of closures that are necessary as a part of this work.
So this isn't 30 continuous days. It would be 30 days. Oh, 3 days.
3 days.
Oh, okay.
And it isn't, and it doesn't have to be continuous. It can be staggered because it's all different crews. So that was one of the things that I think we should communicate and ask is, would it be best to do it together? Or would it be best to stagger them?
The advisory committee has that discussion.
Yes,
And there's kind of a users group also.
yes.
May 22nd.
May 22nd is so that's a great idea.
So when is this planned for?
So the closures are the full scope of work.
The full scope of work?
The full scope of work, the closures would be this summer, but the potential closures, I could say, but the scope of work finalized by the end of the year, November 15th is the goal of 2023. It's a grant close out. Yeah.
We have already notified our fixed based operator of this, so we're discussing this. We're gonna involve them in the plan.
Thank you. Good.
Whose job is to pick the subcontractors that will actually be going out doing the work? Will that be the job of our engineer or will that come before the board again, the commission?
That's a great question. I believe that the subs would be chosen by Century West, but maybe James could. James, can you? Or Miriam?
I'm here.
He's looking for the mute button.
Okay.
Yeah, I was hunting around for it there. So when we proposed on the original project, as part of our proposal, we submitted a list of sub-consultants that we would use on the project. And so we're not planning on changing anybody on that list. So we have an existing surveyor, geotech, and an environmental subcontractor that we typically use for this kind of work. And they're very skilled and experienced in working on airports. And then we have safety trained them also to be able to work in the airport environment safely.
So the way this whole thing works is kind of interesting in that the commission approved a master contract with Century West back in July of 2021. And then the FAA requires this. Then they're our airport engineer for 5 years. So then when they come back for these specific jobs like this, they just submit a scope of work, but they continue to be our airport engineer for that 5-year period until 2026. So that's, I believe, what James is referring to as part of all of that. Earlier master contract that the commission approved, that's what the subcontractor list is on.
Yeah, exactly.
So James, I have a question about the fact we don't have a tower. So you need to get the word out to people who might be wanting to use our facility. How can you be sure that everybody gets it? Is there some fail-safe way of
The note 10.
noting, of them knowing that they can't come during that period?
Somebody slipped it out there. We use the NOTAM system for notification to air mission,
The what?
or notice to air mission.
Okay,
It's kind of the basic way to describe it is kind of like an aviator bulletin board that everybody checks before they go flying.
okay,
And so if there's a change condition at any airport, whether it's your departure or arrival airport, as part of your flight planning, a pilot typically goes and checks and see if there's any change condition at those airports that they're not aware of. And in our case, we would put through a NOTAM that listed, for instance, the bird surveys won't require a closure, but there'll be a person in a vest walking around looking for and listening for these endangered birds, which we don't expect to find, but it's part of the FAA procedure. And so we would issue a NOTAM for work in progress so that pilots would be aware there's something different at the airport there's going to be somebody out there, but it's not going to impact operations because we're not issuing a closure of any surfaces to go with that. So they would see that notice and say, okay, I need to look around when I'm out there and make sure I'm paying attention because there are people working on the airport, but it's not going to impact my operation.
Thank you very much.
Any more questions of Amy or staff?
Is item 2023-13 also, it's the same thing as 2012. We're just doing the different side of the airport. Is that correct?
It's the same as 13. It's just
12 and 13 are the same,
12 and the 13.
just in different areas.
Different scopes of work and different, this is pavement sealing and crack fill, slightly less involved. And also,
It's all maintenance and it's all
it's pavement maintenance.
90% paid for by FAA. So
That's correct, yeah.
I would have moved we adopt resolution 2023-12 and 13.
Second. Been moved by Commissioner Iverson, second by Commissioner Bugle to adopt resolutions 2023-12 and 2023-13, both with Century West for scope of work on pavement rehabilitation at the airport. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
2023-14 to enter into a purchase and sale agreement with American Gutter Service.
All right, so as the commission knows, I provided a lengthy update on South First Street at the March 29th meeting. The property on South First Street is very small, unimproved, mostly basalt foundation, which makes development difficult and expensive. A detailed review of maps and plans in that area show that this is not necessary to access other port property. Harry Appleby, owner of American Gutter Service, who owns adjacent property, has delivered a $10,000 check and a signed purchase and sale agreement. Pending the commission's approval, the port will transfer the South First Street property as is. The port will also sign the general judgment of $7,000 from the lawsuit to Mr. Appleby. Port staff recommends the sale of South First Street under the terms and conditions outlined in the purchase and sale agreement.
Move to adopt resolution 2023-14.
Is there a second?
Second, but we'll have a discussion maybe or not.
I certainly can, yeah.
Well, I think it's terrible.
By Commissioner Warren and seconded by Commissioner Bugle to approve resolution 2023-14. We can have discussion now.
I still think it's a terrible idea. I think we're not being good stewards of the public's money. And I think the question I would ask, if this was your property, would you sell it for essentially $3,000? Because that's what we're doing. And also in the information packet, I thought this was 3 lots, but it looked like it was 5 or 6 lots in the outline that you gave us.
It's 3 tax lots. And one of the tax lots has 3 smaller lots.
How many lots is it total we're selling for $3,000?
3 tax lots, I guess 5 lots by number.
Heck of a deal.
It is a heck of a deal, but how much would we be willing to invest in continuing the war that has started because of this? And I worry most about the protection of our employees and the ratcheting up of aggression around this. Seems to me that fiscally, this is a prudent decision to make because we would be leaving ourselves open to liability.
I just disagree with that. I think that you don't cave into people that come and try to bully you into tell you to sell it and walk away from it and give up. I think it's wrong, but I'm in the minority, so I guess there's no point in talking about it any further, but I just I think it's a very bad business move.
Everybody's certainly entitled to express it. You know, I understand what Chris is saying, but I sure am frustrated by the amount of legal time we put in small leases and non-paying licenses and things. Seems to be inversely proportionate to the incomes. Support it. Anybody else have a comments? All in favor?
I,
Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
Motion carries. Executive Director's Report. Thank you, Elizabeth.
Hey, commissioners, yeah, pretty lengthy one there. Lots happening. Summertime, this last Friday, we were at the South County Chamber Awards banquet. Some of us, we had a table there. It was very well attended. Really good event. And had a lot of fun there. We had in-person executive finance manager interviews on Monday and then again yesterday, Tuesday. And we've sent out a conditional offer on that. So nothing to report yet, but getting close. Had a Columbia Economic Team Board meeting yesterday. And I'll come back to that anyway, because they talked about some future events that are coming up. Let's see, we have, this will come up in the budget. We have, tomorrow we have all staff health benefits overview. We are switching our benefits provider. And Bob G will have more on that in the budget. The next biweekly Port PGE meeting is also tomorrow. I have a Northwest Act meeting as well tomorrow. And Friday, Port staff is meeting with a company called Restercap, which and many of you may be familiar with the Linton project there where they went and redeveloped the waterfront and turned it natural. That's just one example of things they do. They just, they did what they were told to do on that one. They also have a history of helping brownfield sites. So we're going to talk with them about some prospects of maybe synergies with the city and their Boise property and our Railroad Avenue. Just talking. If anybody has some time and they want to hear what they have to say, that I don't know what time that meeting is.
when is the meeting?
It's this Friday at 9 a.m.
Can I,
Is it here?
It's us.
What's a Zoom? Okay.
can I encourage you to talk to there's a group in Linton of citizens in Linton, and I would strongly encourage you to talk to that group of citizens. About
Yes.
how that was, how that turned out, because they were really, really disappointed in it and very, very don't like it and envision something totally different rather than a couple mounds with
I think-
dead trees on it.
Yeah, from what we know, there's no public access element to that, and that's
They envision
pursue.
coming out of there and doing all that, and were very upset and very boisterous.
Yeah, this is just our first conversation with them and see what they may have to offer. So. And then this Friday, Friday also is the PCC OMIC Training Center's Fab Lab grand opening. So I think some of us were there a few Fridays ago on the OMIC side for the ribbon cutting for the advanced additive manufacturing. Back over the PCC OMIC side, they're doing their Fab Lab opening from 12 to 5. So it's a come and go, drop in as you can. And then don't forget to vote Tuesday. Big implications for the port. See what else we need to tell you about here. The Airport Advisory Committee is May 22nd, a week earlier because of the holiday. And we have our port tenant luncheon on 5/23 at PCC. So that'll be fun. We did it in Columbia City last year, and a bunch of folks are working on that. Lacey and Gina and Amy and Brittany working on
That
that.
one?
That will be at noon to 1:30. Thank you. And then looking out a little further, I just realized I left some things on there from April. Apologies. Going back in time there. June 22nd, Port will be hosting 13 nights on the river again. We'll most likely, Gina and I will actually be in Spokane for PNWA. No, it's Everett. It's in Washington. So we may need to have somebody stand in for the port and introduce the band. It's not required, but it'd be nice if, the port's hosting and sponsoring the day. Sure. So maybe if it's not staff or one of the commissioners that can't do it, we can have somebody.
That's not the worst port commissioner duty there is.
Right.
Really.
Yeah. And what's the band, Gina? You two cover? Yeah, nice.
Oh,
What is it?
nice.
You two, the band, it's a cover band.
Bono, however you pronounce his name.
St. Helens Citizens Day in the Park is June 24th. And the port will have a booth at the county fair, July 20th. Well, we're going to do one of the 3 days and set up. And August 5th is Black Tie Blue Jeans. I think I've heard the last time they're going to have it out at the stockyards. There on the stockyards. Hopefully, Stock Ranch, thank you. We'll get a table. It's been a while since the port's had a table at the Black Tie. So obviously we'll open it up for commissioners and then staff after. Let's see, several articles linked there that are of interest that Gina mined on the internet and found for us. So I will send this out. There is a couple updates. The electronic version will be updated to include something that I had forgotten, which was the Airport Advisory Committee. I hadn't put it on the one I printed out. So any questions? Yeah, please.
The exciting and long antitrust journey is almost over with the Senate bill. It passed through the House committee yesterday. It's going to the full House and then it will go to the governor for signature.
Nice. Congratulations.
The first piece of legislation.
That's awesome. Yay.
Report, Counselor. That's all I have.
Any questions of Sean? Well, let's just start in the middle this time. Commissioner Iverson.
What I received quite a few comments about all the boats fishing within our confines at the Scappoose Bay Marina. There was like 3 or 4 anchored with 2 to 5 people inside of them, and it's happened for the last couple of weekends. The parking lot has been packed with trailers, boats, and people trying to get in and out. And I don't know if Marshall was gone or what, but yeah, that's what we figured. He was on guard duty, but it was really being abused. So we got a lot of comments on that. Also getting comments also on the marina about the dock. And I saw a boat down there, a guy with foam on the guy that puts foams under the docks, but levels our docks, but our docks are tilted in a lot of areas. And so I'm getting some comments, especially from some of the elderly people down there that are having trouble navigating our walkways because they're
more colonized.
great. Thank you. Appreciate that. So we can let them know that. But be the typical calls and that kind of thing. So.
That's it. Commissioner Ward.
Busy campaigning season and probably the biggest thing I've been involved in port related is the Chamber of Commerce event, which was delightful and so well attended. I really appreciated it. We do have, we will be having a change somewhat or a lot within the commission, and that's going to affect all the advisory committees and all the assignments that we have. And I just wonder if we can take some time before July to have a conversation about how we do advisory meetings, what policies we have around them, who's on what, and how we determine who is on what. I don't think I really have ever understood how we decide who gets to be in charge of what.
I think it's more art than science, but as you say that, what would you think of the idea of post-election commissioner orientation, optional meeting that any new persons or returning persons elected can come in and have this discussion? I know I'd appreciate it if I was coming on to a board.
Oh, absolutely. But I'm talking more about what are our requirements within the port?
Commissioner requirement.
Commissioner requirements. Thank you. I don't think I've ever fully understood that relationship between commissioners and our liaisons with other groups, as well as our positions on advisory committees. And I think it would be helpful if we have that ironed out before new people come, so that they will have a better idea of how we decide to make these assignments and what authority comes with those assignments.
Anything else?
Noted, got it.
Yep.
Commissioner Fawcett.
I am literally going through security right now, so at the airport. So I'll keep it brief. The chamber event was really good, and then I had some meetings with staff in regards to the budget since I wasn't going to be in person today, and those were really good as well. I look forward to chatting about that if I can manage to stay on the call, but we'll see what happens here.
And I know we'll lose you, but I do know that staff has your budget input and you'll be represented at the meetings.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Safe travels.
Thank you.
Mr. Buell.
Yeah, sure. For me, it was mainly reading the budget finally and getting around to talking to Bob, and I had a good conversation with him yesterday. So that makes sense.
I would just, I can always make notes because I forget something about. I had a very, very busy month. I was out of the country for a couple of weeks and had some challenges before and after. So I appreciate staff working with me to keep me up to date on what was going on with the upcoming budget committee. Kind of gave them a project and dumped it on them and left the country. So we're still working on the potential meeting to explain the tax implications of a next energy development to all of the special districts. So we're going to work with Next Energy on and the port staff to try to set up a kind of a scenario. What happens if they build black tie blue jeans? I would love to see the port sponsor a table there. And I think the direct tie to the port is that the funds raised, and Chris is very involved in this and helped start it, so he's very humble about it. But as I understand it, correct me if I'm wrong, but the funds raised there go to the Chance to Become scholarships, which in my mind are very much a trade school. They're not exclusive by any stretch, but they tend to be a lot of trade school and a lot of those kind of training opportunity, educational opportunities, because they're non-traditional, typically not four-year college bound students. So I would think if we had a table, maybe we can invite a few of our trade union folks that are telling us that they have internships available for students. I know I hear that from the Carpenters Union folks and folks who met at the global event.
The Building Trades
Yeah.
Association.
Yeah, several of those guys and men and women have said they have opportunities. So let's bring a few of them to that and show them, because I'm concerned that not being able to have the black tie at the stock ranch may make it harder for the Chance to Become scholarship to continue. And that's a wonderful, wonderful program. So if commission thinks it's appropriate, I'd love to see them have a table which costs $250.
Well, there's all different levels of it. You can do a friends table for around 1,000 and it's 2,500 for a silver sponsorship and 5,000 for the different grades and 10,000 for the presenting sponsor.
If the commission's comfortable, I'd ask staff just to see what's appropriate.
I will point out that the policy is a bit squishy and then it talks about our mission.
Right.
So, I mean, we could tie a lot to our mission if you think about, what we do and what we're trying to impact. So, I mean, it technically, it could fall in our mission, but we may also want to look at our policy and dial it in a little more. It's been a while since we.
I know I want to be consistent, but
Yeah.
boy, I just see a direct tie to the trade unions. OMEC would be another one.
Yeah, Gina has some really good ideas about splitting that up by zone and, in the
Yeah.
county.
And would Next be able to have a table?
Oh, absolutely.
They
In fact, we'll be
because-
pressured to, or do they already have?
Next and Global both have tables.
Oh, good.
In fact, we've got 12 or 14 tables already sold and I think there's 20, yeah.
I'll see you afterwards. Get
And so actually more than that. We've got quite a few of them, probably over half of them are sold already. So
And I will have a table for my business that will not fill all the seats. So if commissioners, if we invite some folks and commissioners still want to let me know.
And we
You
can,
don't have to sit.
we can have a quorum. We just need to notice it.
Right.
Just notice people like the city does.
But I'd love to see those trade union folks looking for, I mean, that's a perfect match made in heaven to me. It's opportunity to train and then.
Well, it certainly seems fitting for both Next and Global to also have those folks invited. So I don't think we should be the ones to feel responsible for all of that.
Sure. Sure. And lastly, thank you to the staff for the very nice thoughtful card I got on passing of my mother. It meant a lot. Thank you. With that, we will take a short break, executive session. Is there anybody raise their hand?
Yeah, Brian's still with us. Yeah. Did he do an update?
Yes.
Yep, I'm still here.
Okay, good.
Anything further from commissioners? We do executive session. We're doing well, so we'll be back here in 5 minutes for. Yes, please.
Board of Columbia County will now meet in executive session pursuant to ORS 192-660 subsection 2H. Consult with legal counsel concerning rights and duties regarding current litigation or litigation likely to be filed. Representatives of the news media and designated staff are allowed to attend. Representatives of the media are specifically directed not to report any of the discussions or deliberations in this or any session. Sport will return to open session after the executive session and will announce any decisions that are the result of the discussions held in executive session. We do not expect to have any decisions to be announced today. Any persons excluded from executive session are welcome to return to open session when it is resumed.
And again, we expect no decisions to come from today's meeting. See you in 5 minutes.
Jay and you guys will be invited to another room. Probably know that already.
Understood, thank
Okay. Oh, it's crazy. Want to be careful. Just about anything. They're so thick in there. I had one come up and hit the bottom of my boathouse. Run into the log that's come up and it must have been a big one.
Is there any further business to come before the commission? Hearing none, meeting adjourned. The Board of Columbia County Budget Committee meeting will begin in 2 or 3 minutes.
Take this meeting and.
They'd like to get coffee or is it?